Welcome to Art.
Today we're going to talk about Aboriginal storytelling, or it has been coined Dreamtime Stories. So Dreamtime Stories is basically a creation story or a series of creation stories from Aboriginal people of Australia. Usually when someone thinks of Australia, they think of, dry, deserty type feel, but also a huge continent as well. And you really don't think about the original people of that area, which are these dark skinned, blonde haired folks. It's really interesting because these people look so different from all the other black people that we see. They have blonde hair and they're beautiful as well. So this creation story is similar to like the Big Bang Theory, how life began on Earth into the form that we see right now. So basically, one of the creation stories or dream time stories from Aboriginal people is about the rainbow serpent. They said it was some type of rainbow serpent that came out of the sea and designed life to how we know it today. So I can't really say if that's a valid statement or not because the language they used was so old, and to try to interpret it into English would be a disgrace to the history of that language. And all of their language, their entire language is passed down word of mouth. They don't have writing for their language, which means they don't spell it. And everything that they know has been passed down through oral tradition. So these people are really, really interesting. And what's really special about these people is that their creation story was intertwined with the landscape. So they'll say, hey, there was this demigod or this creature, however their language interprets these different entities that lived before humanity. They would say, oh, this person had died and there they go. And it would be like a rock. And what's so beautiful about that rock is that oral tradition is passed down through visualizations as well. So you'll see a lot of rock carvings that are not rock carvings, but a lot of rocks that have drawings on it that are from those ancient times. And I think it's about up to like 50,000 years ago. That's when some of their rock work dates back to. These people use different colors. They use black, they use white, they use red, and various other colors by knowing the chemistry of clay and the natural materials around them. And that's why they were able to make their drawings colorful. Australia is such a beautiful landscape. If you haven't really looked up how Australia looks, it's really interesting because they have snowy out, they have coral reefs, they have desert, and some of the most dangerous life forms live in Australia, meaning snakes, spiders. And what's so beautiful is a lot of their sacred sites are still considered sacred sites, even though they have been colonized. Though some of those sites are conserved, and they'll tell you the story of the ancient story of how these landscapes have been described. So the Dreamtime stories, people who are conserving them, or people who are doing conservation efforts for these sacred sites, they also give you the history, the oral traditional history of the land, which I think is pretty nice. So Dreamtime story has to be incorporated in Antiquities of Greatness for the Afro Genome because it shows you how diverse black art is. You have this black art form that has been verbally passed down in each generation. That language is still being spread today despite being colonized. That type of creation story history is still relevant because it's still painted on the walls. So you can date that back to thousands of years before today, which shows a human presence. So that human presence was able to produce art in the form of Dreamtime. And that is definitely something to appreciate.